Wanted to touch base on abundance. I think it's been a big topic over the past. Well, it's been a big topic in mankind since the time of the creation of exchange that took place in this physical reality. And there are so many different segments of abundance, but I wanted to touch base on abundance that has to do with money. Because that plays a big role in our life. And for some people, maybe depending what stage they are in their life, and how they're receiving this abundance. For some, it's important, but some maybe have passed that stage already and they know just like, oh, okay, I'm fine with it where I'm at. And there are those that are still growing and want to experience more in the state of abundance. We all understand that money is an important part in this reality because it is something that we utilize for exchange compared to before we utilized exchange for goods and services, for deeds and stuff like that. But now we just have shifted that into basically a currency. And that currency has to do a lot with our emotional state. There's a lot of wealthy people and a lot of people that are not so wealthy, and both either go too much into one extreme and then go too much in the other extreme. And there are mental barriers that we need to overcome and belief systems. And we know everything about manifestation. And people watch these videos and they want to learn how to manifest. They want to know how to create. But for me, manifestation is a little bit a different segment because you have to break down the things and to understand the metaphysical side of reality, and then you have to understand the physical side of reality. There's two parts in this part of manifestation. It's not gonna just happen from sitting and praying for it or meditating for it. Not piece of gold is gonna fall on your lap. I know because I've tried it and it didn't work. And then the universe told me, get your lazy ass up and start working. Oh, okay, that's what I need to do. So there's a part of us that needs to put action, and there's a part of us that is the creative side. And how does that all really operate? Well, we know there are goddesses of everything because we are magnetic and we are electric. So we have to understand those concepts. Electric is male, magnetic is the female. It's what attracts. And what is that she attracts? Because when we don't have, we're lack of finance or lack of money, lack of abundance, we become emotional. We have too much of it. We're afraid to lose it. So there's a disbalance between that. And you can see a lot of wealthy people are miserable. They cannot sleep at night. They're afraid they're going to lose that money. They have to keep it on their pillow. Or people that don't have it, they're stressing about it to have it. And finance is one of our emotional state. Money is emotion. And when I say it's emotion, because it's part of our emotional body, it's actually tied into our second center. It's very much tied into our second chakra. In what sense, you might ask? It's tied in the second chakra from the point of creation, manifestation, and attraction. Because you have to have a strong desire behind something when you truly want it. That's one. The other part, you have to have clarity. Why do you want it? If we don't have clarity why you want it, because you want to have a house or you want to have a fancy car, those things are not the driving force in the ethers. The driving force in the ether first has to come from an alignment of your true self. It's like, okay, first you have to be true to your source. So if you're true to your source, then your manifestations will start to become not just for yourself, they will start to become of the people and the surroundings. Because now you're not just creating for yourself. You are creating that will benefit the collective. About a week or so ago, a few weeks maybe ago, I spoke about that the financial system is shifting. We are shifting from the corporations owning the large amounts of money into the spiritual communities. The spiritual community is waking up and they're trying to, like, okay, it's time for me to start creating abundance. And that's what it should be, because we will know what to do with that money. We will know how to utilize that abundance, because the spiritual concept of the divine mind is to share. So going into the spaces of working with abundance, the second center, we're going to go back into that. The second center, you have belief systems in it. Lack, fear, insecurities, not enough clear vision, all of those, and there's much more that need to be transmuted. All of these are part of the fear-based, which are stored in the second center. The fear-based beliefs, insecurities, and lack of confidence in yourself that is preventing from you of magnetizing this energy, right? So the feminine energy, we can refer to her as Lakshmi, which a lot of people utilize, that goddess, right? That energy needs to be in a space where she has an inner knowing that she is taken care of at any moment in time. She has to be at peace. Even things that do not go your way, she has to know that she is taken care of by the divine. So that will create an openness within the second center of magnetization, which works very strongly with the throat center, the ether. So if the second chakra, okay, the belief systems need to be cleared over there. The second chakra has to do with your physical reality. The throat chakra has to do with your ether. Ether, communication into the divine. So once we work with the second center and we release the fears and the guilt and the non-trust that you are, the trust that you bring into it, that you are taken care of by the divine, then you start to work with the throat center, because the second center is now supporting the other centers, so you can speak as you create. In order to speak as you create, the ethers, your vocal cords, has to be supported by your solar plexus. The solar plex is the part of action. That is the electric force. That's the male. That is the doing force. A lot of times we start to visualize what we want. We have a vision, okay? Then we start to go towards that direction of that vision of what you're trying to manifest. And then all of a sudden, you stop. You don't carry through with the job. You don't complete it. That is the part of the solar plexus, and the solar plex has to do with the ego mind, the lack, the confidence that is not rising up into your throat center to express itself to the divine, the angels, the guides, to assist you in this form, because they are here to assist us. So once we start to understand these patterns and how they work within ourselves, we start to clear them out. As we clear them out, the only way that you know that you truly cleared it out is by taking the action. Because your actions will stand behind of your vision. Because there's a lot of disappointment that comes in our lives that has been taken from our parents, our family members, and we have to break those patterns. Because sometimes you'll pay attention. My mother or father was like, no, save 50 cents here. Don't spend money there. You know, and then all of a sudden you're an adult and you start to have the same patterns and you don't even realize them. So you have to go and break them, because abundance is infinite. So if abundance is infinite, that means it comes through you. It does not stay at you. It's not stays there. The energy has to flow through you. Because if the energy comes in, and doesn't go anywhere, then the channel of abundance is not flowing. It's a constant rotational exchange. So we have to have a vision if we're creating something. First, we must have a vision. Vision is you visualize things, right? The artist that you are, you see things in your vision first. The end result has to be strongly focused with your mind. Have the end result how you want it to be, but do not hold on to it. But energetically, you have to be able to feel it. And when you feel it energetically, that imprints into the feminine aspect of yourself, which is the magnetic side. Now the magnetic side will start to attract it from the universe, because everything that you're manifesting on already exists. It's there. Just don't forget that you're not doing it for the purpose of money. You have to do it for the purpose of the collective, because it has to benefit others. Now, if you want to receive something, that means you have to give that. If you want to receive respect, you give respect. You want to receive love, you give love. You want to receive money, start giving money out. Doesn't have to be in thousands, but just in a space of where you are connecting. Because it's an exchange. And when you do exchange, pay attention how you're exchanging, with who you're exchanging, and how they're receiving. Because that will come back. So we know that the universe operates like a toroidal field, and you have a toroidal field, right? Magnetization is coming from above, from below, up through the toroidal field and out. So what you're doing, you're activating a channel within yourself to receive and to give. Left hand receives, right hand gives, right? So we want to learn how to receive and give simultaneously. It has to flow through us. As you do that, you will also receive different mental patterns that are coming up that are blocks. So these are the perfect times to sit with them and to see them, analyze them, but without the harshness of judgment, but from the perspective of transmutation. Then you have the thought. Now that visualization becomes the thought. Now you start to see that. Okay, now you're saying that in your field. That becomes the word, which is in your throat center. And after that, it becomes action. So now that we have created that loop, now we have to take the proper action. So now you kick into the physical aspect of the mind, of how things are built in this reality. We have business plans, blueprints that people utilize. There's nothing that you need to create, because our mind is not made to create things. Our mind is made to duplicate things. So competition is your teacher. A lot of times people have competition and their solar plexus starts to pulsate because they have this jealousy that comes out. Well, it's not actually jealousy. It is a desire of you having what they have. So instead of having that, learn from them and see how you can duplicate that blueprint in order to create your own blueprint according to your alignment. So we must know that we are divinely taken care of at the moment that we need it. Flexibility in the mind is important. Then comes the timing of things. So let's say you want to manifest on something, and some things will come instantaneously. Some things take time. So they have to be realistic expectations. Because if you set up unrealistic expectations, you're setting yourself up for failure. So it's important for us to have the realistic expectations according to the time, giving yourself real time frames. It's important to communicate with these different goddesses and your guides because they are there to help you, and they can only help you when you ask them to. They will guide you because they are there to see your happiness. And they might not understand the channel of abundance the way you perceive it, but they understand the channel of abundance as an energy flow through your system. And what do I mean through your system? Your nervous system has belief systems in it. And sometimes those belief systems are so rigid that they don't want to shift. When opportunities come up, you don't see them. You don't see them because your belief system says it has to happen this way. Your job is not to see how it's going to happen. Your job is to accept how it's going to happen and take the action behind it. But your job is to maintain the focus of where you're headed. Soon as you lose that focus and you become disappointed, you will have to refocus yourself again through a maybe meditative state. I utilize the meditative state, and then you start again. So, important to have the vision, bring it into action, and action will lead towards that realization. The emotion behind it has to be charged. A true desire of the highest service. A true desire to create, not to save. If you are saving, it has to be saved for something grand, something that is going to be beneficial for many. But if you allow it just to stay there, it becomes stagnant. So if you put your left hand out right now even, and visualize if you have a quarter or a dime or a dollar, see if you can hold it in your hand. Or you can imagine it. In your left hand, you'll feel that energy flowing into you. And see that energy flowing out through your right arm into the community, into the people that are needing it. So that energy flows through you. And right away you'll feel it shift in the solar plex. Why? Because that is where the ego mind is programmed. So we can become the channel of receiving and giving. Our devotion towards things has to be really strong, really on point, really focused. And one of the things that I always talk about is working with the pituitary gland. Why? Because the pituitary gland will allow you to hold a focus, long-term focus and vision. Our manifestation, first manifestation, should be manifestation towards the source, towards our higher self, our highest desire. When that establishes, then your desires will actually change, because your desires will no longer come from the ego mind, but the desires will come from the higher mind that will guide you to your own wealth. We get to see so much stuff on the internet these days, and we want what everybody else has, and we're missing out on what is given to us. You have your own wealth, your own abundance channel. And that's one of the main things that we need to establish, is that first. And once you have that, then the divine will say, okay, maybe you do have to work extra hours. Why? Or maybe you don't, because there's a learning lesson behind it. Because it wants you to learn certain emotions as you go through that process of accumulating abundance or establishing that channel, which will open up a certain nervous system within your body, which will activate your emotional body and your mental body to perceive to a higher dimension. So we know that everything exists in the ether. If everything exists in the ether, then we have to align ourselves with that template that already exists. So in our energetic field, those templates that are made for you, they already exist. It is just you tapping into the highest timeline that you want to experience. And if you are truly ready, that timeline will reveal itself. And by you creating stuff in the ethers first and then taking the action upon it, you are basically the artist who is drawing things first, seeing it, creating the energetic blueprint for it, and then you're taking the action, because now the action becomes effortless and not forceful. And if you feel yourself you're forcing into it, okay, let me back up a little bit. Let me take a breather. Let me connect to my goddess. Let me connect to my God. What is it that they're having a message from me? What is it that I need to see? And then there's the next stage when you're working in groups, and that becomes even more grander. And you really start to work in the higher levels of creation.